Well, welcome to Markets Today. I'm Lata Venkatesh, and joining me from the Delhi News Centre is Surabhi Upadhyay. It was one huge short covering rally in the markets after that fairly big downturn we saw last week. As well, there was probably a little bit of NAV management. After all, it is getting close to the end of the year. So much of year-end bonuses depend on this. And then positive global cues. All that kept the rally ticking. But the moot question is now, how much longer will the bulls be able to take this recovery in the stock markets? Hi, Surabhi.
Hi, Lada. Well, yes, absolutely take your point, and that's an important question, but at least some relief, some sign of green finally back on the screens today. Let's start with the headlines. It's bulls back in charge on Dalal Street. Benchmark indices surge almost 2% amidst positive global cues, with the Nifty closing just below the 8,500 mark. The Sensex puts on over 500 points as well. Capital goods, infrastructure and banking stocks see strong buying.
Good day for mid-caps, though the index underperformed the frontliners slightly with a gain of 1.5%. High beta stocks like Lanco Infra, Hindustan Construction and NCC see brisk buying. Transformers and rectifiers hit a 20% circuit on an order win. Magma Fincorp also rose 12% on a preferential equity allotment.
Telecom stocks gain, with Idea surging as much as 7%. Idea Cellular MD Himanshu Kapania tells CNBC TV 18 that tariffs will have to be increased as a fallout of the spectrum auctions. The company will also alter its next 2 years capex plan to minimize the strain on the balance sheet.
Well, those were the headlines from the markets, and here are the experts that we have lined up on the show for you today. Harsha Upadhyay of Kotak Mutual Fund gives us his outlook for the markets. On the corporate radar, we have the Idea MD and CEO Himanshu Kapania talk to us about the company's cash flows post the spectrum auctions, and we'll also get you some perspective from top bankers like Pradeep Kumar of State Bank and the big financier KK Mystery of HDFC.
Okay, before we get you all that opinion, let's get you the day's trading action itself. The bulls are back on Dalal Street with a bang after 8 losing sessions on trot. Strong short covering in trade today helped the markets close with big gains. Anuj Singhal now joining in to get us the details of what's been a stellar start to a short week. Anuj, what a great way to begin.
Well, great start for the bulls after the kind of losses that they've seen over the last 3 weeks. But really, let's put this in perspective. The market has fallen about 800 points from top, the Nifty that is, and today it's recovered about 150 points. So essentially what you saw today was a powerful relief rally, which was led by a lot of large caps, and towards the end, a lot of mid caps also joined in the party. In fact, the advance decline ratio was about 5:1. Let's talk about the stocks that led the market higher today. In terms of top contribution to the index, you had 3 stocks, HDFC, ITC and Larsen & Toubro. All of them were up 3% in trade today and all contributed to Nifty's gains. Apart from that, the sector of the last few weeks really has been telecom, and today also both Bharti and Idea were doing phenomenally well. In fact, Idea, ever since its index inclusion, has been doing well, but Idea was up 6% in trade today. Some other prominent Nifty winners included stocks like ONGC, that was up about 4%, Ultratech Cement, that was up 5%, and Coal India, that was up about 3% in trade. Now let's talk about some private banks, because that really has been the space where we've seen quite a bit of selling. But today there was some buying in stocks like Axis, HDFC Bank, even a beaten down stock like ICICI Bank today saw a bit of rally. And finally to the mid caps, stunning moves in today's trade. One of the big leaders of this, the mid cap party, has been NCC, and that was a stock that did remarkably well in trade, up 10%. HCC was up 5%, and Ashok Leyland was up 6%. Some more F&O stocks that did well included PTC India, that was up about some 7%, India Cement was up 6%, and Motherson Sumi was up about 5%. So that's a strong Monday for the bulls. 2 days to go for a truncated week, but really the trend for this market will only emerge next week.
Fair point, Anuj. But there were some quality mid-caps that were singled out, and some which have been running and of course ran faster today on this short covering bounce that we saw. Notice, for instance, the rail stocks, Texmaco, Texrail, those stocks, especially after a CNBC TV 18 exclusive with the railway minister, got some more legs to run. The railway minister promising that most of the finances are in place for railway expansions. Likewise, the telecom stocks, Anuj alluded to them, but Bharti and Idea led a spectacular spectacular rally, Idea in particular, on an expectation that the company's capex plans and its payments for spectrum are all now in the price, and if anything, these stocks will be ideal candidates to benefit from a consolidation and an increase in rates that this sector is bound to see. Surabhi.
All right, Lata, on that note, let's move to some market opinion now. Harsha Upadhyay of Kotak Mutual Fund expects the markets to touch new highs by 2015 end, but that is if the earnings picture shows signs of improvement.
If earnings don't disappoint after 1 or 2 quarters, I think we can definitely look at new highs for the market. What has happened in the recent past is because of the inventory losses, third quarter results were quite below expectations, and I think some part of that will continue in this quarter as well. So to an extent, in the short term, there was a disconnect between the market levels and the earnings growth trajectory that was there in the Indian markets. But our sense is probably after 1 or 2 quarters, the earnings momentum should gather steam once again. We were concerned about this auction, which has just got concluded, and our belief was it's going to increase the cost of doing business in telecom, and that's what has actually happened. Already the return on capital employed for telecom companies are very low, and we believe that it will continue to remain the same going forward. Since that is our hypothesis, we are not looking at investing in telecom anytime soon.
Okay, now that's one big opinion from the market, but now for all the action from the F&O space, let's go across to Nigel D'Souza.
Well, in the derivatives market, the volumes are clearly on the lower side, but there was a fair bit of action that was taking place because put trading made you money today, given that the Nifty raced away today. So the 8,300 put, that was getting written. We saw the premium move from around 90 rupees to around 50 bucks. We did see the 8,400 put did see riding today. Oh, there the premium fell from around 125 rupees all the way to around 75 rupees, and traders are counting on that 8,400 level to hold out in the near term, and that's why we saw some kind of riding taking place even at around that 8,500 mark, and the premium there fell from around 170 rupees closer towards 100 rupees. So those traders, they look to eat into the premium, and that's 8,500 put. So if you just deduct 100 rupees, then in fact they as well are counting on around that 8,400 mark, holding out at least in the near term. But resistance comes in at around that 8,600 mark. That's because that was fairly active today, and remember on the call side, the highest open interest was at around that 8,600 mark. Now individual stocks that were in focus, Idea Cellular did see big selling in Friday's trading session. In today's trade itself, it did see big buying. That stock, in fact, was fairly active. ITC, that one came in for a bit of a short covering bounce. That's what led the Nifty higher. And we did see a short covering bounce for the likes of Axis Bank as well. Remember, the stock has gone through a sharp correction, but today the shorts are closing out their positions. Ashok Leyland did see big buying, big volumes on that stock. India Cements, it hasn't been too great for that stock, but it appears today that there were some shorts that were covering out their positions, while Mindtree did see aggressive shorting in today's trade itself.
All right, Nigel, many thanks for that. So that's what was going on in the futures and options arena. Let's move out to some corporate headlines now. Idea has been in focus after winning back 900 megahertz spectrum across 9 service areas. The company has also acquired additional spectrum in the 1800 megahertz band in 6 key service areas. Speaking to CNBC TV 18's Kritika Saxena, the MD and CEO of the company, Himanshu Kapania, said that Idea's debt post-auction will rise by 70% and that the net debt-to-equity ratio will go up to 3.5 to 4 times from the current 1.1.
By the end of last calendar year, Idea's net debt was at 11,000 crores level, and we're going to add 30,000 crores most likely by the end of next financial year. And there would be, with this increased net debt, the net debt to EBITDA ratios will change. This is a unique situation for telecom companies. While these numbers will reflect on our balance sheets, its impact on cash will be nil. After having paid the upfront money, we have 2 years moratorium that would be available, and our payments are the first payment for both interest as well as installments, which is over a period of 10 years after 2-year moratorium starts in April 2018. So there would be no impact on the cash flows both in 2015-16 as well as 16-17.
Okay, so that's some brave talk from the managing director of Idea. What are brokerages, however, making of this huge payment that this company had to make? Rima Tendulkar joins us with a wrap of brokerage views on the telecom sector in general and Idea in particular.
Thanks so much for that. Well, the telecom stocks continued with their good run even today. So Bank of America Merrill Lynch has upgraded Idea to a buy. They've upped the target price by 29% to 205. They prefer Idea over Bharti, but even on Bharti, they have increased the target price by 17%. They've turned incrementally bullish on the fundamentals of the large telcos because they believe they're well positioned to gain market share and play the data growth story, though they are concerned about the competitive pressures from the RelGeo launch. The key reasons why they've turned positive on the telcos like Bharti and Idea, they say it's now expensive and difficult for the smaller players to renew their spectrum as and when it comes up over the next few years, thereby aiding consolidation. There is no risk of a network disruption because the telcos have managed to renew their spectrum. The RelGeo launch, the expectation has been pushed forward to December 2015 versus May 2015. So it has improved the near-term visibility for earnings for the telcos, and there is a possibility that they could be raising tariffs. But it's not just the telcos, it's also Bharti Infratel. So CLSA reiterates its buy rating on Bharti Infratel, target price 450. They say the company will be a beneficiary driven by accelerated network rollout, and they expect the ROE to double by FY18 to 18%. Back to you.
All right, Rima, many thanks for that. Well, now let's shift our focus from telecom to infrastructure. Lots of stocks buzzing around in trade today on the back of big order wins. Pragya Bhardwaj has compiled that list for us. Pragya, what do you have?
Well, not entirely surprising, Surbhi, given that we're closing this financial year, and that is when you see a lot of these order announcements for some of these companies. I'm going to start with the biggest of them all. BHEL bagged an order worth about 1,080 megawatt. This is for a thermal power project in the Telangana region. This is an EPC order for setting out 4 units of 270 megawatt each. This is a thermal power unit valued at about 5,000 crores, so a big order win for BHEL. Crompton Greaves, the company's won an order worth about 150 odd crores from Power Grid. The order execution will happen over a span of about 20 odd months. Centrum Electronics, small company, but the company has received defense orders worth about 100 odd crores. This is for mission critical subsystems, and the order book of the company post all of these new slew of orders that they've won will stand at roughly about 170 odd crores. So it's a pretty big move for them. Transformers and rectifiers was the big mover in today's trade, and rightly so. The company's bagged orders worth about 440 crores. This would take the order book of the company all the way over 800 crores. Remember, the management told CNBC TV 18 that this is the single largest order won by the company in the history of the company ever since the operations have commenced. So pretty big move by them. And finally, Ahluwalia Contracts, it's a 430 crore order win for them. It's an order win for the construction in the industrial and the residential buildings for a whole host of places like IIM Rohtak, Indiabulls Mumbai, Amity University, Kolkata. With this, the order book of the company goes to a massive 3,630 crores. So that stock is also one of the other big movers in today's trade. Back to you.
On to some other news that we have been tracking. Mortgage lender HDFC is mulling an array of options to increase the capital at its life insurance subsidiary. HDFC's Vice Chairman and CEO KK Mistry told CNBC TV 18 the company will meet its insurance JV partner Standard Life in April to find out its equity plans. The IPO details for the insurance unit will be planned thereafter.
We've always said that we are keen on doing an IPO, but the timing of the IPO certainly has not been decided. But yes, IPO per se, we are very, very interested. First thing what we would do is in April, we have a meeting with Standard Life, who are partners in the life insurance business. I think that's happening around the 20th of the month, and that is the time when we take a call on how much Standard Life increases their stake to, and then subsequent to that, when the IPO would take place and how we would, what kind of shares we would put in the market. They certainly will want to increase their stake a little bit beyond 26%, but how much further they will go up to, that's the call which they have to take.
All right, on that note, let's get you some more stories that the market was tracking today. CNBC TV 18 learns that IT major Infosys has given 15 to 20% salary hikes to top performers within the company. This is the highest hike given by Infosys to top performers in the past 4 years as it tries to retain the best of the talent and curb attrition levels as well. Lata?
Thanks, Surabhi. Well, it must have been a day of good cheer at the offices of Reliance Power as well. The sixth and final unit of the Sasan Ultra Mega Power Project has been commissioned today. The Sasan UMPP, or the Ultra Mega Power Project, is the largest integrated power plant cum coal mining project at a single location in the world. That's according to RELPA. What's more, it has been completed 12 months ahead of the power purchase agreement's schedule.
Okay, that was Reliance Power up and about in trade as well. Now let's turn our attention to global markets. Asian markets gained today with the Shanghai Composite touching a new 7-year high on hopes of further monetary stimulus from the People's Bank of China. Vivek Mishra, strategist Asian Equities Global Research and Strategy at SocGen, says in light of all these developments, India and China continue to remain the top picks in the emerging market basket.
I would like to state that as a part of our Asia-Pacific portfolio, both China and India are our overweight calls, and China remains one of our top picks. For the Sensex, our India target is 32,500, and for 2016 we are looking at a target of 38,000.
Right. On that note, let's take a break. We'll come back with more trading strategies. Sudarshan Sukhani will join in, as will other experts, to give you trading strategies on the F&O space.